Welcome to the Curiosity Shop, where it's essentially a mailbag. We take in and answer questions sent in from viewers like yourself, whether it's on Discord, Twitter, or in the comments below. So send us your questions to have them featured on it. And we have our first question from our Discord member, High King Avarith, who says, is Zelda set in the Rick and Morty universe? Quick answer to that is yes.
Yeah, every universe is set in the Rick and Morty universe.
Yes.
Because it's a multiverse theory.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Anything from Rick himself, anything that exists, does exist in some universe. So easy question there.
Yes.
You have...
It's canon.
Alright, and you have a question that you've picked out as well.
Yeah, somebody asked me... I just pasted them. I didn't actually read them. Alright, let me just grab a random one. Generic Coyote says, do you think that this year has been the best year for video games ever? And if not, which year do you think it is?
Alright, and is this coming from Twitter or?
This is coming from our Discord server.
Alright. I would say in terms of releases, I would say probably. It's hard to say, but Horizon Zero Dawn, Destiny 2, Breath of the Wild, Mario Kart, Pokemon. There's a new Pokemon game coming at the end of the year. We have a new console.
We got Samus Returns, and that game is freaking amazing, by the way.
Yeah. So yeah, like even if you're not that big of a Nintendo fan, there's still a lot of games that came out. Destiny 2 is really big. Horizon Zero Dawn, like I mentioned, is to me essentially PlayStation's version of Breath of the Wild. Shadow of War is really good. The first one, I loved it. Felt it was a bit short. So with the second one, they added a lot of new features. There's Assassin's Creed Origins coming out that's supposed to take everything that they've learned from the past Assassin's Creed games and cut out a lot of the stuff people didn't like. So it's kind of their, not really a reboot of the franchise, but a refresh, showing off a lot of new mechanics. But what are your thoughts? For me, I would say compared to last year, like hands down. But the best year ever, that's a bit harder.
The problem is that we've been playing like video games for so long, and it's hard to cherry pick one year as like the year of video games, because like I don't know, it's so subjective. For me, just because I've been anticipating Breath of the Wild for years, and like I dedicated so many hours just like waiting for the game and trying to figure things out from the trailers or what few trailers we had, and then like taking a job at Zelda Informer, things like that, like just because of Breath of the Wild, maybe, but like we've definitely got, in my opinion, some of the best games ever this year. But it's an opinion, so it's hard to say for real. This is kind of a non-answer. Sorry, Generic Coyote.
Yeah, I would say in terms of like the past 5 years, then yes. Because I can't really think of a year that had as many great games come out. Of course, it was really good when Majora's Mask 3D came out, Twilight Princess HD came out, but this year... But
those are not new games, right? So it's kind of, it only half counts.
So moving on to our third question comes from Robert Ortiz, who some of you may actually know from the band Escape the Fate.
I want to know if they're going to do a new Star Fox game. I've heard they're doing a new Star Fox, or they just released one or something. Right?
They released one a couple of years ago, but they're always making stuff.
The next Star Fox, how long is it going to be? I've wasted many summers playing that game. How long will we have to wait to see a fucking other one? You know, that's my question.
Yeah, they're really spaced apart, Star Fox games.
If Star Fox Zero would have sold really well, then I could see it getting a quick sequel. But
maybe we'll get Star Fox Zero Deluxe on Switch, where motion controls are optional.
Yeah, that would have made it a lot better. Because that was one of the biggest complaints a lot of people had, was that it forced the dual screen on you. And then,
but if they had a more traditional approach to it, then it would have been like really good.
Yeah, I think a lot of people's problem with it was that it was forcing the dual screen. So if they made it kind of like Splatoon 2 compared to Splatoon 1, where Splatoon 1 also forced you to use dual screen. So they took it out, made it to where you could play it really great on one screen. So if they did that with Star Fox Zero, or just made a new Star Fox game, because I think Star Fox Zero was basically a retelling of Star Fox 64.
Yeah, which was in itself a retelling of Star Fox on the Super Nintendo. So, like, we don't really... The thing with Star Fox is that it doesn't really need a story. You know, or it doesn't need a new story, or it doesn't need to be a sequel. Like, they can just keep telling the same one over and over. As long as the game is good, we're going to play it.
I would say it would be very interesting if... Because Star Fox has, most of the time, especially on 64, has really been on rails. Like, you can't really freely fly around. You have to follow the path it takes you on. And then usually there's boss fights or something where it is, like, you can fly around. But if they had it more open world-ish, to where you just had a massive area to fly around, then I think that would be
So you want Star Fox 2?
I haven't gotten the chance to play Star Fox 2 yet.
That's kind of what you're describing.
Then yeah, I would like that with the modern graphics.
So what if, you know how Star Fox Zero is sort of a retelling of the same old Star Fox story? So what if we got a new Star Fox game in, let's say, 4 years on the Switch that was what Star Fox 2 could have been, or kind of is, but like an updated version where they add more to it? Now that could be really good.
Yeah. I was also a big fan of Star Fox Adventures on the GameCube.
Well, not really a Star Fox game. I actually did like it as well.
Yeah.
And actually, I was talking with on Twitter with Andy, who works at Zelda Informer, because he was saying he really likes it, and I was thinking, you know, if Rare had decided to stick to their guns and release this as a new IP instead of a Star Fox game, it would probably be a cult classic, much in the same way Banjo-Kazooie is. But because they tacked it into the Star Fox universe, it's remembered.
And you're talking about Star Fox
poorly.
Adventures?
Yeah. So it was supposed to be a new IP originally. But
Dinosaur Planet or something like that. And then they basically reskinned it. Kind of like what Nintendo did, and cheap plug here, because it talks about it in a video coming up. In the top 5 canceled Mario games video that we're working on. We talk, or I guess I talk, about Super Mario Brothers 2 and why I don't think it should be called a canceled or unreleased games, because that's the one that a lot of people think of at first. But I was looking at it, and for like a year or two, it was unreleased in America because it originally released in Japan, and we got Doki Doki Planet or whatever it was. But after a few years it released, and then I was counting all of the different releases, and over the course of like 20 or 30 years, the Super Mario Bros. 2, the Japanese version, released 7 or 8 different times on 6 different consoles.
It was like in the All-Stars pack on the Super Nintendo, and then on the eShop.
It was an add-in for Super Mario Deluxe on the Game Boy, which they played at the World Championships. They re-released Super Mario All-Stars for the Wii on the 25th anniversary.
That's right.
They released the game by itself on the Game Boy Advance, the Wii, the eShop on the 3DS, the Wii U, and the Wii.
You can get it. It's very much released.
it's very released. So for like 2 years, it was unreleased. But anyways, I'll talk a little bit about that. But back on
Star
topic,
Fox Adventures, kind of the same deal, because
Doki Doki Planet was reskinned to look like Mario. This game, Dinosaur Planet, whatever it was reskinned to look like Star Fox Adventures.
Yeah.
And fun fact,
it's
it
a good
ran
game,
on the same engine as Wind Waker.
Oh.
So if you're a fan of Wind Waker, then you should be a fan of Star Fox Adventures as well.
Yeah.
But I think that brings us to the end of that question. What is the second question that you have over there? Is it comes from Discord as well?
It does. I just scooped up all the Discord ones, sorry. I actually really like this game. It comes from Wolf Link on our Discord server. He says, what what do you want? This is okay. We're gonna rephrase this so it makes some more sense. What would you like to be brought into the new DLC other than story and dungeons? Any new weapons, armors, or game mechanics?
Hookshot.
Hookshot would be so cool. Oh my goodness.
Imagine climbing the dual peak mountains.
And just
Daniel can't see my hand motions right now, but you have the two peaks of the mountains. And instead of jumping off and paragliding to the other, or if you're climbing the Death Mountain, imagine instead of like getting on a platform, jumping off, paragliding, just hookshotting over and then like going back and forth like you did in the dungeon in the city in the sky on Twilight Princess. And then Skyward Sword had the double claw shots that you had to do it with too. So something like that would be really awesome, especially if you could hook on or hook shot onto something really far away, and while you're halfway there, let go of it and then use that momentum to get like a boost for paragliding.
Yeah. Now, I feel like it would, like, they apparently were originally, I read in an interview, I don't know how long ago it was, but Aonuma said that he was going to put the hookshot in, but they ended up taking it out because the rock climbing, or the climbing mechanic basically made it obsolete. However, I still feel like it could be really cool in the game because it would, we all love, like, it would speed it up, basically. Like you could, and you have a lot more utility. The
dungeons and the shrines and some of the other areas, their way of explaining it was the shrines were too slick to climb. Link can't get grip on them. Have the hookshot targets in certain spots on those slick walls. So the challenge isn't climbing.
If it rains, then you can use your hookshot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So hookshot also, for me, would be a weapon.
Yep. I'd love to see the hookshot brought in. Yeah, that would be so cool. And there was another thing I pointed about the hookshot was do you think we should find it in like a chest like the same way the boomerang is incorporated, in that it counts as a weapon and so it could break? Or would it be like a permanent fixture in your inventory like a rune is? What do you think?
I would like it better as a weapon.
So it's a temporary breakable weapon that you could find in the same vein as a boomerang?
Yeah, like have it so that the tip of it gets dull or something.
Yeah.
Because instead of being sharp, after a while, the tip of it breaks. So you have to take a bunch of arrows, the tips of the arrows or the tips of a sword, and take them to someone who can craft the sword into a tip for the hookshot.
That would be cool. Now, another alternative to the hookshot, the grappling hook from Wind Waker, and incorporating its different utilities that it had in Phantom Hourglass could also be a really cool thing. So in Wind Waker, you could use it to hook onto things and swing and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
But also to stun enemies with it or pickpocket enemies with it. So what if you could use it to grab an enemy's sword, right? Because like you're constantly fighting for weapons in Breath of the Wild. So you want that enemy's shield, grapple hook it, right? And you'd have to like time it right maybe or something. They'd probably add in a cool mechanic, but that would be really cool.
It would be if they had the mirror shield. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Were you?
No, go ahead, keep going.
I was like, if they had light-based puzzles and you had the mirror shield that you had to use, but just like the other weapons, the mirror shield is breakable, but it's very breakable because it is literally glass.
Yeah.
So if someone hits it, it'll still act like a shield, but the glass part will crack and eventually break. So that, like after 2 or 3 hits, the glass will break. It'll no longer be reflective, but you can use it in the same way you would use a pot lid or something.
So what if, as a really cool idea, the mirror shield, guardian weapons, like guardian lasers, you don't need to parry to reflect them. It'll reflect automatically.
Yeah.
But a physical attack, like a Boko club, will shatter it.
Yeah.
And so it has a very specific utility, but like a really good one.
The fireballs, like the fight against Twin Rova, where you can absorb the ice attacks or the fire attacks.
Yeah.
Have it very similar to where, like, this probably doesn't make too much sense, But in the same way that you could charge up the fire blasts and then at a certain point they would shoot back at Twinrova, if this had it so that if you absorbed like 3 or 5 fire attacks, you could turn like a normal sword into a fire sword. Because there's already fire swords or ice swords, so it's like you could use the magic from the shield to power up a weapon. And
then your claymore is suddenly a great flame blade.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could work. I was thinking also, I just had this thought, going back to the grappling hook. You know, remember in Phantom Hourglass, there were some puzzles that involved hooking the grappling hook between 2 like posts and using it to like slingshot yourself? So imagine that in Breath of the Wild's open space. So you've got 2 trees, you just put the grappling hook between them, and then you slingshot Link into the air, and then you use the paraglider to glide somewhere and gain a bunch of air that way. Yeah. That would be a really cool way to traverse terrain.
That was kind of similar to what I was saying with the hook shot, to where like if you could hook onto something, and while you're being like pulled there, if you let go of the hook shot, it would just throw you. You would use the momentum to keep it going. But if you could slingshot yourself in that way, that would be really cool as well. That reminds me of...
Why not both?
the end of the first Spider-Man movie with... what's his name?
Oh, with Tobey Maguire?
Yeah, Tobey Maguire. At the end of it, to get to the one area from the bridge or whatever, he does that where he slingshots himself all the way to where the Green Goblin is.
Yeah.
So...
That's cool. This could be cool.
Yeah,
if they make it.
It would essentially work the same way that people launch themselves by freezing one of the metal plates or whatever, the big metal structures, and then they keep hitting it until it flies off, and they jump on it while it's flying through the air and then paraglide. There's people that use that to get off of the Great Plateau early, but a lot of cool ideas, but we could probably talk about this all day, so let's move on to the next question, and then we'll get to the final question. So for those watching again, leave your questions in the comments below to have them featured on the next episode. We're going to do my last question and then go to Daniel's last question, or if we get through these really quick, we might do an extra. But
cool.
Zell just has the username Zell from our Discord, which you all can join by clicking the link in the description. Says, what are your thoughts on Nintendo 64 Zelda? The videos on this channel are funded by supporters on Patreon like you. If you're a fan of this channel and would like to join on videos, receive shoutouts, watch videos early, have your questions answered, or have your topic discussed on our podcast, please consider supporting on Patreon for these and many other rewards for just $1. Shoutouts for this video includes Linkus the Triforce, Rusty Caulfield, Lovable Christie, Give Time 15, Shadow to Us, Robbie Morgan, and Lunarium. I want to thank all of you for everything you have done to help support this channel.